In the ditches is right. I'd like to see it out of the ditches. Well, guess what? That's going to take about $400 million. We use all our taxes on infrastructure on state highways. There's no taxes left. The people are not going to support a tax for sewer that we need right now bad. 1/8 inch that sales tax that we're looking at is not nowhere near enough to get started on a sewer project. Back in '96 when we did the study, it was $200 million. And I was told that it was double. It's close to $400 million right now for a parish-wide water and sewer. So, yeah, we have plenty of other, issues that I feel are more important to the parish. Now, the state has been doing some good. They did some work on Highway 30. It's helping tremendously. Highway 73 is helping tremendously. They just can't do it overnight, and we can't fix it overnight. We can't fix a problem that's been 20 years in the making overnight. We can't get that funding in. Even with these impact fees and the sales tax, we can get maybe $100 million. Well, we're here and we need $700 million. Well, we're nowhere close. So the projects are going to be nowhere in sight for quite a while. That all the projects that's on this plan that was presented to us. So I have a little problem with the impact fee as I speak. I can't support it like it is. Thank you.
Mr. McConnell, would you please come and take the chair? I need to make some comments and some suggestions.
Yes. Mr. Savoy, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some 2 years ago, 24 months or better, parish president came to me and asked me how I felt about an impact fee. At that time, I told him, Mr. President, I can support some type of impact fee because I've been around the table for 12 years. The traffic's only gotten worse. Okay. Whether it be state roads, parish roads, I've got same concerns as what I've heard around the table. Mr. Todd Lambert, all the money going on state roads versus the parish roads. I've got serious concern about that. But our citizens travel throughout the whole parish using state roads and parish roads and state roads. We need to do something, or we will only get further behind. And the only thing that's done, talked about, past President Tommy Martinez made comments or made attempts for impact fees. It's only gotten worse in the last 12 years. Okay? I want to support an impact fee. And that's what everybody really needs to look at. Can you support a impact fee? Okay? If you can, then tell us what you can't live with. Like I'm going to tell you, there's a couple of things that I'm going to tell you that I can't live with, and hopefully we can work through this. There's two things. And Charles,
yes, sir.
When I met with you and Councilman McConnell and Councilman Dempsey Lambert and Hillingsbeck, there's a couple of things I had concerns with. One is the legalities. I had asked you that I want a document from your firm stating that it is legal for this body, this governing body, to impose an traffic impact fee to the citizens of this parish throughout, as our charter is written, and/or the state legislature.
Right.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I actually have given that some thought, and you have, as part of what Duncan Associates, an opinion to that effect. But I may have even a better idea for you. That I assume, with all of our discussion, that we're going to have a period of time between if you adopt the fee and when it's effective, 90 days. I would suggest that what we do is we take the ordinance that you adopt and ask for Attorney General opinion. I think it's better than getting something from me. I think the Attorney General opinion is a much better way of going. We've had conversations with the Attorney General. I believe you will get the opinion that you want.
That sounds good. We don't need to go any further.
Okay.
I'm sure this bodies don't have a problem sending what we pass on to Attorney General opinion to make sure that it's legal.
Before you collect the dime, get the opinion.
Okay. That satisfies the legalities that I had. Another thing was family partition. And as Mr. Shakes and I said, we're going to agree to disagree. my child, their child, driving in my driveway every day. If I give them a piece of property that was inherited to me and I inherited to them, there's no more impact. And I'm certainly glad Mr. Duncan said that he recommends 0, because I'm going to make a substitute motion to change what's presently presented. Another thing is, and give me some time to run through this, because there's a couple of things I had concerns about. Oh, another one is the fee schedule that needs to be corrected as far as the industrial. There's some verbiage that needs to be added to make it very clear what we're going to charge them for. Okay. Charles, on page 2, under definitions, E, it says building, a structure built, maintained, or intended for use as a shelter or enclosure of persons, animals, or property. Does that mean sheds?
No, sir. If you look at accessory use, it doesn't include that. The idea is where people are going to inhabit, where people are going to actually store. This is more of a retail, where you're going to have a warehouse, Walmart, that type of thing.
All right, that's fine.
That's exempt.
All right. On page 4, I want you to walk me through the family partition, because I'm going to protect the family partition to the nth degree. Show me where it says that the family partition will. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Industrial park, we took care of industrial park. We got to clarify that. Okay. The other thing is the map, the districts. I think I made mention in the meeting that I had concerns on the districts. I agreed that we needed districts. So far as the district lines, I can't support what's here. All right. And this is including some other council members going into some other districts, so everybody needs to, consider that. All right. There's 2 amendments to this ordinance that I'm going to make. And Mr. Chairman, we need to discuss, or we need to figure out if we're going to take action on it tonight, or if the majority of this council wants to take it up at another night. As far as the discussion that's going around the table, the concerns, is everybody comfortable with voting on it tonight, or is everybody wanting to go and have a special meeting?
Well, let me ask everybody this. I would like you to consider this. Are there any changes that have been proposed? Are there any changes that you can look at in this document that will change your mind from how you're planning to vote right now, if the vote were being held right now? If there is absolutely nothing that can be done to change your mind, then we're just delaying the inevitable, and we may as well vote on it tonight. But if there are some particular points in this document that can be ironed out to your satisfaction, that would cause you to support it or not support it one way or the other. If you think you can change your mind, then by all means, let's call a special meeting for 2 weeks from now and we've had the opportunity to look at this. So that being said, I will ask the pleasure of the council. What is your pleasure?
I move to continue this discussion and have a special meeting in 2 weeks, at which time we will have an opportunity to to decide on any changes and vote on it at that time.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to extend the public hearing for 2 weeks and reconvene, assuming having meetings in between that time, and then reconvene in 2 weeks, reopen the public hearing, and reconsider. Is there a second to the motion? Then the motion dies for a lack of second. Mr. Savoy, you still have the floor, sir.
I'll make a substitute motion to the proposed ordinance that we change the fee schedule for family partition to $500. And the reason why is because legally we have to charge them something according to legal. So I'll make that as a substitute motion that we change that to $500.
There's a motion by Mr. Savoy to amend the ordinance pertaining to...
You also want to include the administrative building clarification?
Well, I'm taking them one at a time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Motion to amend the family partition section to $500. Motion by Mr. Savoy, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Is there discussion on that? Is there any opposition? Then we'll consider that as an amendment when we consider the entire document. Ms. Savoy, you have another?
Another one is adding verbiage in regards to the industrial segment.
To clarify that it actually means administrative buildings.
Mr. Charles, how does it need to be?
What I would suggest that we do, if you look at
Page 15.
page 15, and I would do this for where it says industrial development, open parens, administrative facilities only, close parens. Administrative facilities only, close parens.
Okay. I'll offer that as a motion,
That's
a
your
substitute motion.
A motion by Mr. Savoy, second by Mr. Shakespeare to make that change in the industrial properties. Is there discussion on that issue? Is there any opposition?
I got a question.
Discussion, Mr. Hillensbeck.
Okay, I understand, we're not wanting to include the pipelines and outlying areas, but by narrowly defining it as administrative buildings, I see our industrial people, well, they'll build a real small office, and then they'll have some other outlying buildings that are not administrative, and that's, so I'm just questioning, Charles, if that's the right language, or should we say buildings only?
Buildings that are occupied
Yeah,
by personnel.
Right.
Now, that would capture control facilities.
Exactly.
It's just
'Cause I look at administrative,
where people are
a few
going to be.
people, and then I look at the bulk of the workforce out there in other buildings and what have you. And the idea or the issue here is we want the buildings, but not the pipelines and the rail yards and that kind of thing.
You could say buildings occupied by persons.
Thank you.
But if you had a control structure that was 500 feet, you would have that included.
Working in the industry, that's tough, because it's tough because I can have a warehouse that has an office and only houses 2 people, and it may have 20,000 square feet.
The area occupied by persons.
Okay.
Well, and warehouse is covered. I mean, that's in there under industrial, Jerry.
You got a different rate on warehouses because it is a warehouse.
Okay. All right.
Open, it would say, just for the record, industrial development, open parens, area occupied by persons only, closed parens. Areas occupied by persons only, closed parens.
Okay.
Is that your motion then?
Yes.
Savoy? And obviously that's your second. All right, Mr. President, you had some discussion.
Now, I think, though, on this warehouse, we're not talking about a warehouse within an industrial complex.
No, sir.
We're talking about a warehouse separate from an industrial
Exactly.
complex altogether.
If you look
Right.
at the rate,
Yeah.
you can see the difference. We're only making this change to industrial development.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on that issue? Is there any opposition to the motion? Then the motion passes. We will consider that as an amendment when we consider the entire document. You have another one, Mr. Savoy?
I have one final one. and it is on the districts. I've studied this map from day one, and I've never was comfortable with the way it was, and I heard the comments from Charles and Jim. I'm still not sold on it. I'm going to make a motion, substitute motion, that we change the district line, and the district line will run from 431 from Port Vincent all the way down to 931, take 931, come back to 431, all the way down 431 to Highway 30, cross over 61, and come across on Kent. What is Brittany Tower Road number? 941? 941 to the interstate.
Can you say that again?
Here you go. Why don't you draw it on this and we can put it up?
Let's do that, Mr. Chairman, put it up on the screen.
Well, this is
Jerry,
state
you have
This
you
is
have
state two.
Jerry, you have that sketch out. Yeah, can you put that on the
Yeah, you've got
overhead
it.
monitor here that everyone can see that what we're talking about?
Oh, there you go.
All right. Ozzy, can you focus on that a little bit, please? Okay.
This would be this area.
It's up to the board. Y'all can, as far as 621, you can either keep it 3 districts, or you can make it 4, or you can eliminate the line on 621 and make that 1, all that area 1. Doesn't matter to me on that one. It's either erase that line or make another district, District 4.
District 4 in the middle.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that's my recommendation. That's my
Well,
You're making a motion to increase to 4 districts.
yes.
And
This would
this
be
center
4.
one
Yeah.
that is centered around the city of Gonzales, with the northern boundary being 621 and the western southern boundary being I-10, and then the eastern boundary being 431, that be designated as District 4. That's your motion.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Kent Shakesnyder. Is there discussion? Does everybody understand what the map says?
Mr. McConnell?
Mr. Byerga.
Yeah, Mr. Savoy, can you possibly share some of your thought process of why you may want to change it? so I
Yes,
can
sir.
better
I
understand?
don't mind at all, because the way that it was proposed is you take Highway 22. Now, I've got residents and I've got constituents all the way down Highway 22 that's talking about being impacted and going to have some improvements all the way to I-10, all the way across the parish. I can't live with that. I can't live with that portion of the parish paying the impact fee, and all the work and all the money is going to be spent all the way across the parish. That's why this is a better representation on this area, and that's why.
Mr. Byerga, anything further?
no, thank you.
Does anyone have any further discussion on this
Mr.
item?
Chairman.
Mr. Hillensbeck.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Councilman Savoy, I appreciate your wanting to change this, and I'm okay. I think you've made a good point here. I guess the problem I have is if you look at that newly created district, if we decide to adopt this, you got the city of Gonzales in there, that the municipality is going to be exempt. We're not going to collect impact fee in the city of Gonzales. So that's a big portion of that District 4 already gone. Rather than create a fourth district, I would rather see maybe the boundary line of 621 be moved maybe further south, kind of split it in the middle, or come completely across maybe from Highway 74 and then pick on up maybe Black Bayou Road all the way across to 931, and then also extend the boundary for District 3 north, and and keeping it simple, keep it 3 districts. In fact, I'll draw it right quick for you.
While you're sketching, Mr. Hillensbeck, Mr. Byriger has a comment.
Yeah. Guys, let's not get carried away with this tonight. Last meeting, we talked about revision number 12. We got 13 tonight, 14. Now we're working on 15. Either we're going to vote for this thing or we're going to vote it down, but let's do something. Tonight is not the night to start creating districts and different things. Like we said, we've been working on this for 2 years. Let's either implement it or throw it in the trash can, but let's do something.
Thank you, Mr. Byriger. You know what, and that's a point well taken. Can we,
Mr. Chair.
What I'd like to do, Mr. Hill, with all due respect, let's vote on this map that as proposed, the motion that's on the floor. If you don't like it, vote it down. Mr. Landry, you had a...
No, I will just put the map back up that you'd be voting on.
The one with
the
motion that's on the floor is for 4 districts.
I realize that, Mr. Chairman. I think I still have the floor. I was asked to draw a map, and I did, and now I would like to make that substitute motion for a different map.
Very well.
I mean, we had a committee process where we came up with 3 districts. We spent a lot of time on this. And Mr. Savoy's got every right to suggest a change, but I think as a councilman I have every right to come back with an alternate change or a substitute. And I think what I proposed here does make sense. It extends District 3, which is a large portion of Councilman Scheck-Schneider, Councilman McConnell, and Councilman Thomas and Thompson, their districts, to take in part of the city of Gonzales, or take in all of the city of Gonzales, and it moves that boundary line south. And I think that just makes a lot of sense when you look at it. So I'll make that substitute motion that we go with this plan.
All right, a substitute motion by Mr. Hillensbeck to adopt this map as presented to you with 3 districts instead of 4. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Mr. Thomas. Is there any further discussion on this?
Let me make sure I understand these boundaries here, Naka. Yeah, okay. So what road is that?
That's
my eyesight's getting old.
Okay, Highway 74 extended across. Of course, there's a portion there where 74 ends.
So we're taking 74, Black Bayou Extension, Black Bayou Road, all the way to 431?
No, all the way to to 431.
Okay,
right.
And everything north of that and west of 431 is District 1?
Yes.
And everything east and south of that down to the interstate is District 2? And on 431, and then from 431 west to that 74, including the other side of the river, is all District 3.
Absolutely, you've got it.
No. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, then we will, Ms. Fontenot.
Well, just for discussion, Charles Landry had given us some amendments that he had sent to y'all, and he wanted this attached to it, so we need to attach it. I would say that we can always come back and amend the map. I mean, you know.
That's what we're doing right now.
But I'm saying that there's some controversy over it right now, and it's kind of being done hastily. If we don't like what happens, we can always come back, you know, and fix it later.
Thank you, Ms. Fontenot. Is there any further discussion?
Let me just suggest this, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think it would be wise to look at present population numbers and population trends a little bit on your districts, okay? I mean, and some projections going forward. I just think that would be wise to kind of see, what we're talking about in these areas. And, I mean, administration doesn't have a problem in 3 or 4 districts, but if we get, whatever we get, we need to at least know what we expect the population trends to be going forward for the next few years based on some data and some from planning department, and also I agree with Ms. Fontenot. I think we could adopt, if you guys are going to adopt this ordinance tonight, we can adopt it with the understanding that we're going to do these districts based on some real data, to support it. If that makes sense to all of you, because right now, looking at it, I have no idea, and I don't know if any of us do, what the population presently is within these districts, and then what the building permits are within these districts, and then what we project that to be. So I thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Valentine.
All due respect to the parish president, I'm not sure it was done on the original one. I mean, personally, I understand Mr. Savoy's concern, but I'm not going to support any map change. As far as I'm concerned, what we did in the Transportation Committee, where it ought to stay. And I don't think we did the study on those districts, Ronnie. So I'm not sure we need to do it just for the sake of easing our minds. We discussed this in transportation. We did this for 2 months, and this is what we came up with. And nobody said anything about it till tonight. And I'm not going to support the substitute order or the change of any of it.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine. Mr. Shakespeare?
Yeah, and that was one thing. When we came up with it, Ozzy did give us a map that had the locations of population, and as we were working out in major roads, and they talked about traffic patterns, and so that was one of the tools we had. I mean, it was not something that was exact, and we tried to put things where try to divide the population of the parish in about 3 sections, and have, according to Mr. Landry and Mr. Duncan, we were supposed to try to look at traffic patterns, and it was determined that the people in, it was thought that the people in Sanamon, for the most part, most of their trips were geared to the interstate and toward Baton Rouge, and that's why they were included more of an east-west type thing. And the northern part of the parish did that also. And then the southern part of the parish was joined on both sides of the river because of the lack of population and more open space. And they said that if the population increased to that certain amount, then you could create another district from there. And so that's why the interstate was kind of the boundary from there. And it was, believe it or not, logically thought out, discussed, as Mr. Valentine said, and we came up with what was probably the best solution, and we could probably draw it 100 different ways, but that's what we came up with. And I would like to see it supported.
Thank you. So you have, we have 3 different maps we're looking at tonight. We have the one proposed by Mr. Hillensbeck with his substitute motion. We have the one proposed by Mr. Savoy with his motion, or we have the original that was presented. As Ms. Fontenot rightly pointed out, we can also amend at any time. So let's go ahead and vote on the substitute motion right now. Is there any opposition to the substitute motion?
Object.
All right, Suzanne, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Thomas.
I want to rescind my second motion. Second, the motion, second, Mr. Hillenbeck, I want to rescind it.
Where's my legal counselor here? We're already into the vote here, Mr. Thomas.
I let it go. I knew it was
Just vote no, Code. You can vote no on your second.
No.
Might hit the paper, but
Right.
I'd be the headline.
Councilman Chestnut.
No.
Councilman Thompson. Councilwoman Fontenot.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Did you say no?
He said no.
Yes, I'm not wavering.
Stick to your guns, Doug.
just said
Yeah, I
yes.
voted yes.
Yeah.
It's getting late.
Councilman Valentine.
No.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
No.
Councilman Byerga.
No, ma'am.
Councilman Savoy.
No.
The vote, I'll vote no too, what the heck. Vote fails. And we'll go to the motion by Mr. Savoy. Is there any opposition?
I object.
I object.
Put your hands up if you object, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The motion fails. So we're left with the original map. Mr. Savoy, are you finished, sir?
Yes, sir.
I yield the chair back to you then.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Fontenot?
I spoke last week and emailed Charles Landry several times, and he's made some amendments, and he has sent them to everyone. I hope that everyone has seen them. I would like to introduce them to be amended into the current ordinance.
I'll second
Along with the map.
All right.
Could we read those amendments just for propriety? Even though I got mine and I read it and I don't have a problem with them.
Do what? Y'all.
If you could just read them out loud so at least the public knows what we're...
Copies, they gave us copies. They gave us copies, Martin.
Yes, please, read the amendments.
Okay, amendment to section, actually, yes, it's amendment to section 19.56. If a refund application is not timely filed, the impact fee administrator shall, within 6 months thereafter, utilizing the information provided in the most current parish assessor's records, defined as assessor's records, refund the impact fee to the refund owner. The owners of the property identified in the assessor's record shall be conclusively deemed to be the refund owner for purposes of this refund and this ordinance, regardless of the inaccuracy of the information provided in the assessor's record. I have actually given an alternative to this, and the first one is, if you have a refund, you just pay it to who the assessor's rolls indicate. The assessor's rolls could be inaccurate. So I also gave an alternative. If a refund application is not timely filed, the impact fee administrator shall, within 6 months thereafter, utilizing the information provided in the most current parish assessor's records, defined as assessor's records, provide written notice of the refund of the impact fee to the parties identified in the assessor's records. The notification shall advise the parties of the refund process using the refund application as provided in section 19-56. The idea there being, if you have a refund and no one claimed it, you send a notice using the assessor's records, but the person still has to come forward and prove they are entitled to the refund, as opposed to just sending it. So really, those are alternatives, Ms. Fontenot, and I'd suggest maybe you take that as one to figure out what the
Right.
Council wants to do.
I'll make the motion on that last alternative that you gave.
Which is
to accept
notice.
that, which is notice. We have a motion and a second on an amendment.
I'm sorry. Motion by Ms. Fontenot, second by Mr. Valentine.
And it's for 1956, the alternative.
All right. Any questions? Is there any opposition?
I object to draft 16.
One objection. Motion passes.
Okay, section 19-57 deals with the termination of the impact fee as a whole. It's terminating the whole impact fee ordinance in the future. So A, if the parish council seeks to terminate any or all impact fee requirements, all unexpended or unencumbered impact fees shall be refunded as provided above. That's the refund provision. B, upon the finding that any or all impact fee requirements are to be terminated, the parish council shall place a notice of termination and availability of refunds in a newspaper of general circulation in the community at least 2 times, not less than 30 days apart. All funds available for refund shall be retained for a period of 1 year from the date of the last advertisement. The parish council is released from this notice requirement if there are no unexpended or unencumbered funds at the time of termination. C, at the end of the year, this is after the publication, if a refund application is not timely filed, the impact fee administrator shall, within 6 months thereafter, utilizing the information provided in the assessor's records, refund the impact fee to the refund owner. That would be the person on the assessor's records. The owners of the property identified in the assessor's records shall be conclusively deemed to be the refund owner for purposes of this refund and this ordinance, regardless of the inaccuracy of the information provided in the assessor's records. The alternative language that I suggested was, at the end of the year, if the refund application is not timely filed, the impact fee administrator shall, within 6 months thereafter, using the information provided in the assessor's records, provide written notice of the refund of the impact fee to the parties identified in the assessor's records. The notification shall advise the parties of the refund process utilizing the refund application as provided in Section 19-56C. And then D, thereafter, any remaining funds shall be transferred to the parish road construction fund and shall be solely dedicated for road construction within the parish, and in no circumstances will the funds be transferred to the parish general fund. So again, there are 2 alternatives. One, just like the prior one, is you just send the check to the assessor has as the records versus the one you approved in the prior motion, send notice, and then the person has to prove ownership.
I need a copy of that.
So it would be 1957 with the alternative C language would be the motion if you wanted to be consistent with the prior one.
That's the motion I'd like to make, that we accept.
Motion by Mr. Fontenot.
Second with alternative language?
Right.
Second by Mr. Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes.
Mr. Savoy, I'm sorry.
There's one more. There's the one about putting the notification up.
Right.
We want to make sure that that one
I'm
gets
sorry.
done on the appeal.
I'm sorry. 1958, notification posted and information available. A, there shall be notice in not less than 36-point type posted in a conspicuous location where the impact fees are paid, stating, open quote, notice to transportation impact fee payer. The content of the entire transportation impact fee ordinance is available for your review. A representative of the parish is also available to answer any questions that you may have regarding the transportation impact fee ordinance prior to the payment of the fee. B, the impact fee administrator shall prepare a brochure that summarizes the principal components of the impact fee ordinance, including without limitation the fee schedule, the credits, exemptions, refunds, and appeal process. The brochure shall be approved by the Council Transportation Committee. Brochure shall be provided to each fee payer at the time of the payment of the impact fee, and the fee payer shall sign a written receipt of delivery of the brochure. C, the transportation impact fee ordinance shall be posted on the parish's official website in a PDF downloadable version.
I'll make the motion that A, B, and C, which is the whole section 1958, replaces what's already in the ordinance 1958. I make that as a motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fontenot, second by Mr. Hillenbeck. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Mr. Shakespeare.
I just want to make a statement, Ms. Suzanne. Should we pass this, I would like to put on the agenda for the next meeting to recommend the creation of Ascension Parish Economic Development Fund So I know this is a separate thing, and it has to be discussed at another meeting, but we need to put that on the agenda to try to, on a council meeting.
All right. On the subject, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The question for Mr. Jim and Charles. Earlier, you was stating that if someone was wanting to add on to their house less than 1,000 square feet, you'd recommend 0.
That's my personal
What's
recommendation.
your reason?
I just think, that generally an addition, remodeling, or renovation does not necessarily increase the impact. And I know you can get detailed and say they had a baby or something like that, but we're considered about impact on roads, and I just think it is more of an administrative hassle than it is worth financially to the community.
I'll make that motion.
I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, second by Mr. Hillary Beck.
Just for clarification, it's section 1949 B3, and I think Mr. Lambert's motion would be to put a period after dwelling unit and delete less than 1,000 square feet. Therefore, all renovations, remodeling, regardless of the size, would be exempted.
Thank you so much.
That is the motion.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Mr. Landry, you have something?
Yes, sir. You have a blank in what has been provided to you in terms of the effective date. So when somebody needs to make a motion to replace the blank, and what we have been discussing was a 90-day period between adoption and when you would have it effective. But because you wanted to get the Attorney General's opinion, which I personally think is a good idea, I would suggest that the effective date be the later of 90 days from adoption or receipt of a favorable Attorney General's opinion.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Shake Snyder.
Second.
Second by Mr. McConnell. Discussion? Opposition? Having none, motion passes. All right, gentlemen. 12 o'clock. It's time.
We don't want to vote before 12.
What's the wishes of the council on the traffic impact fee as amended?
Roll call vote.
Sir?
I request a roll call vote.
Motion. Looking for a motion.
I move to accept the impact fee as amended.
We got a motion by Mr. Shea Snyder,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Hillingsback. Is there any opposition?
I object.
We're going to roll call it.
Y'all ready? Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Shea Snyder?
Yes.
Councilman Thompson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fontenot?
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Hillingsback?
Yes.
Councilman Valentine?
No.
Councilman Ty Lambert?
No.
Councilman McConnell?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
And I'm going to vote yes. The motion fails for lack of a two-thirds. Before we leave, gentlemen, I'm going to ask for a two-thirds to add an agenda item, and it's quick.
I so move, Mr. Chairman. I read it.
All right. I'm looking for a motion. Here you go, Mr. Hillingsback. Read it out.
Yes. Tomorrow night, there's a retirement banquet for our retiring superintendent, and I'd like to offer a motion from this council for a resolution congratulating Superintendent Robert Cluott and thanking him for his 33 years of service to Ascension Parish.
You got a motion by Mr. Hillingsback, second by Mr. Byrick. Any opposition? Having none, motion passes.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned. Any opposition? Having none, motion passes.